Hello guys, I'm Savvy, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 build video. In the last build video, we went over the Void subclass and everything that went along with it that I use pretty often in the game. But in this one, we're going to be going over Arc, but something a little bit different with it this time. I'm also going to be going over a certain super that, at least through my experience in the game from others' opinions, I use it from time to time because I like it, but many other people don't like it based off of how its experience has been, and we're going to be showing off the exotic that also goes with it as well to make it slightly better. But before we actually get into the details, if you guys would be so kind to hit that subscribe button, and do not forget to hit that like button as well, because that lets me know that you guys enjoy the content on the channel and would like to see more. Specifically this video if you'd like to see more stuff like this. But without further ado, let's dive in to Arc. So here we are in the Stormcaller page, and we have our abilities, our fragments, and our aspects, and obviously to the left we have our super. Now, some of you probably already know what kind of super it is, but I'm not going to reveal that just yet because sometimes my philosophy is saving the best for last, and I think that the super is probably the best for last. But we're going to be going over the abilities first, then the fragments, then the aspects. Now, some of these are going to be working in tandem with one another. Some of the fragments and aspects have synergy with one another, and we're going to be going over this. Now, before I start reading, I do want to let you guys know that I have done a video where this may be the same setup as my previous Arc build. However, I'm doing this again, and I'll be doing it for other videos like this as well, because there are people in Destiny 2, there are players who may not come across that video from before, and this will probably be their first video. And if it is their first, then, I want to make sure that they get all the information from what I use and what they could think is a good recommendation. So just want to preface that. But let's go into the abilities first. So we have some simple things here. So we have our Healing Rift. So what this does is you conjure a well of power that continuously heals those inside it. Our Jump is Burst Glide. Jump while airborne to activate Glide and start an airborne drift with a strong initial boost of speed. Our Melee, Ball Lightning. Fire an arc projectile forward that releases a perpendicular lightning strike after a short time. While amplified, Ball Lightning releases additional lightning strikes before detonating. Now this is where one of the first perks appear. And I'm calling it a perk because it really is quite a perk. And it's called Amplified. So what this does is your movement speed and weapon handling are greatly increased. After sprinting for a short time, your movement speed is further increased. Rapidly defeating targets with arc damage makes you amplified. And that's going to be very important because we'll be able to run pretty fast and everything, so amplified is really good. It also affects some other aspects of this as well, as we'll be going over soon. So the grenade that I use is the Storm Grenade, and this is a grenade that calls down a focused lightning storm, which is really good. Now, to demonstrate these abilities here, we are also going to have to focus on one of these aspects, and one of them in particular is called Arc Soul. Now, Arc Soul is an electric eel poised for attack. Electrons sing at your approach. Another familiar joins your ranks. Cast your rift to create an Arc Soul that fires at targets in front of you. Allies can pass through your rift to get an Arc Soul. Your rift charges faster when allies are near. While amplified, your Arc Souls are supercharged and gain increased fire rate. So this is really cool. So we have that amplified perk again, and that's going to be very important for Arc Soul. So let's stop the reading for now, and we are going to go and demonstrate these things. So simply, and I'm also, if you want to know where I am in a Shorochi checkpoint, which this might be a great way to demonstrate some of these things, but we might go elsewhere to demonstrate the super in the end. But for right now, there's some really good ways for me to demonstrate. So just right off the bat, without any enemies, I'm just going to throw down my rift. So I'm going to do this. And then you can see right there that I have a little buddy next to me. So that's what I also call this Arc Soul. I also call little buddy the Void Soul, or Child of the Old Gods is what it's called. This has a timer on the left side, and I'm starting this right now because what's really cool about this is it'll start shooting at enemies around, and you saw that trail that just came to me, right? there's others that are coming too, and that gives me amplified. So as I'm amplified, I'm able to just run around pretty fast. And I got my rift back pretty fast too. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just keep shooting at these guys and everything with my arc soul. I'm not gonna shoot with my gun. And you can see that my arc soul is like going crazy now. Look at that. It looks angry. But that's what happens when the arc soul has amplified with it. It actually does more damage and it's more effective. So, and it creates these lines here. But I'm gonna throw my grenade too. And that just destroyed a lot of those enemies there. And my abilities have been replenishing quite well, and I threw my ball lightning on top of that. There's a lot going on right now, so I can understand how it could be overwhelming, but these are some things that are just being demonstrated in order for you to see what's actually going on as you're in combat. So being in combat can be kind of crazy, so... And more enemies are spawning. So I'm just going to hold back for a second here, and I'm going to wait for my grenade to charge again because I want to demonstrate that a little bit better than before. My grenade is fully charged. I'm going to throw it down like so. And yeah, I just cleared out a bunch of enemies. I think that's really good. Really good demonstration there. So as you saw before, when I was fighting all those enemies, at the front door you saw that there was this arc stream, or this thing that was coming towards me as I was fighting enemies. Now that is called an ionic trace, and where that comes from is actually from this next aspect that's called Electrostatic Mind. Now, what this is a long-forgotten experiment that draws strange adherents. Bring to mind the products of its charge. Defeating targets with arc abilities or defeating jolted or blinded targets creates an ionic trace. Collecting an ionic trace makes you amplified. So we have 4 of these perks here from this one aspect. Now, we've already gone over amplified, but we also have these 3 other ones that we can read. So the first one is ionic trace, a bolt of pure arc energy that travels along the ground, seeking towards its creator. When picked up, ionic traces grant ability energy. Jolted, the target is energized with destructive arc light. They take additional damage while jolted and chain lightning to nearby targets. Jolt damage causes overload champions to be stunned. Now that's really good too, and I can demonstrate that as well as we get into maybe a lost sector of some kind, or some activity that has overloads within them. And the last one is blind. Combatants are disoriented and cannot fire their weapons. Opposing Guardian's HUD is removed and their vision is obscured. When blinded, unstoppable champions are stunned. Now that's a good one too. Yeah, so that can affect unstoppable champions. Although doing blind, at least with this build that I have, is a little bit trickier than at least jolting targets. So that's what Electrostatic Mind does. But we also need to get into these fragments as well, because they also kind of played a part in what I was doing prior to that as well. So we're going to start from the left and to the right. So the first one is Spark of Volt. It's pretty simple, self-explanatory. Finishers make you amplified. That's it. Which is really, really cool. I actually really like that. It's pretty simple. So if I want my abilities to be amplified, if I want to be amplified and run around really fast, I just gotta finish an enemy. That's it. And it gives you plus 10 recovery as well, which is really good. The next one is Spark of Magnitude. Now this doesn't give you any perks of any kind that's on the side, but this is also really important. Your lingering arc grenades, lightning grenade, pulse grenade, and storm grenade have extended duration. Now, this doesn't give you any plus 10 to anything, so really, if you want to, you could switch this out with something else, if you so choose to, but I really do like that lingering of that grenade, of my storm grenade, or really any grenade that it lists here, the lightning, the pulse, and the storm. I love the storm grenade, and with it having an increased duration, I think it's really good overall. Now the next one, the third one, is actually pretty important too. This does not give you a perk on the side like Amplified, Jolt, Blind, or anything like that. But what it does do is, while you're surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. Which, I mean, it's kind of a must. So, I mean, even though I have over 100 resilience, this gives me more damage resist as well. and I really like it. It gives you plus 10 strength, which is quite interesting because for something that gives you damage resist, I would think it would give you more discipline. But hey, I mean, more strength, more melee energy, that's fine. And then the last one here is Spark of Feedback. This one also does not give a perk on the side, but what this does is taking melee damage briefly increases your outgoing melee damage. So if I have an enemy that hits me, and if I hit them back, it'll just do significantly more damage than them. This one gives you plus 10 resilience. Now, there are other ones here that are pretty good that I would say that you could use, and one of them would have to be Spark of Shock, which this makes it much easier for this build, and this is where Jolted comes from as well. And this is actually what I use for my prismatic build as well, and my arc build for Storm Trance, but I should also use this. Honestly, right in the middle of this video, I think I should use Spark of Shock instead, because it's a lot better than what I'm using right now, which Spark of Magnitude, even though the duration is great, I do think that I should replace it with Spark of Shock. You could also replace Spark of Volts, which just the amplify part is good, but you could probably replace it with something else. But I just use it because it gives me the recovery. But this one says it doesn't give me any benefit. I could use Spark of Shock, but it does decrease your discipline by 10. So if there's a way that you can probably change your armor stats, then you could probably work around with it with possibility of using artifice armor of some kind or just farming for better armor. But yeah, what Spark of Shock does is your arc grenades jolts targets. It's as simple as the finisher one, but it's as simple as the finisher one here, but this one's really good, and this one will play a big part in stunning overload champions. And I would love to demonstrate that as we go through with this. So mid-change of builds. you know, I'm not saying that this is a bad one. If you like the duration, go ahead and use it. And, it gives me back my plus 10 discipline, or just gives me back the discipline that I lost. But as I said, you can work around with your build and potentially fix that problem. If you consider it a problem, you can fix the problem, because I prefer having triple 100s, but, you can work around that. So here I am in the Pale Heart, and I specifically went to today's, which it won't be today anymore, the Lost Sector, once it's uploaded, but I am in the Broken Deep, and I loaded into the Legend version of this because the Legend has Overload champions in them. I couldn't really find anywhere else because the Nightfall this week is not Overload champions. It is Unstoppable and Barriers, so Broken Deep was the best way to find those Overload champions. So we're going to be moving around here, and once I come across an Overload, I will demonstrate how the jolting works and how great it is to stun those champions. Alright, so I've found a couple. I've actually found 2 of these Overload champions. So what I can do is I could just toss my grenade down, and once it starts activating, it'll instantly stun them because they'll be jolted. So let me go ahead and just jump in here, throw it down, and look at that, they're both jolted at the same time. And I'm just going to get rid of them by using my super, and I kind of revealed what my super is right now, but that's the beauty of it. Oh my gosh, I spoiled it. But that's how jolting works. It's actually really good. So as I revealed in the Lost Sector back there, which was purposeful. It wasn't by accident. The super that I'm using for this build is Chaos Reach. And as I said, saving the best for last, which in probably many players' opinion, Chaos Reach is not that good, which I do agree that Chaos Reach isn't really the best. Storm Trance is better of the two, but I do like Chaos Reach for certain purposes, and just personally I do like it. It is a fun super to use because it's like like in Dragon Ball Z Kamehameha, that kind of thing. That just reminds me of that. It's just really cool. So what this does is it unleashes a long-range channeled beam of concentrated arc energy. Sustained damage on a single target creates a jolting lightning strike at their position. F press while active to activate your super early, saving super energy. Now that's the cool concept of Chaos Reach. Now, on its own, it's not really the best, and we'll be demonstrating that. But before we do the demonstration, I do want to go over the exotic that I'm using as well, which is called Geomag Stabilizers. Now, these benefit Chaos Reach specifically, and what it says is close enough. Damaging targets with Chaos Reach extends its duration. Collecting ionic traces grants you energy for Chaos Reach. So it does two things here. The ionic traces for energy for Chaos Reach itself, and for damaging targets. And it could be multiple targets, but what it's really great for is is one target and you sustain damage on it. So like a boss enemy, like a raid boss enemy, or any enemy that's able to withstand the entire super and probably still have some health left over. And what it used to do in the past, because it was nerfed, it also, well, Ionic Traces, I believe, became a new thing in Arc 3.0, but before that, it extended the duration of Chaos Reach, but not only that, but it also gave you back your super energy a lot faster by just running. So if your super was halfway full, and if you were wearing Geomag Stabilizers and ran around, it would have filled that super within a few seconds. I mean, I will say that that's a little OP, but they got rid of it entirely, and now it just has these two perks here, which they are good in their own right, but I prefer the older version better because that just would have made Chaos Reach a lot more relevant today than it is now. So, in my opinion, I just think that it would have been better if they kept it the same from the original making of this, but I guess with Arc 3.0, they wanted to change it up, and they did so. But in my opinion, it definitely isn't the best, but it's still fun to use. Let's go and demonstrate these Geomag stabilizers. But I'm going to demonstrate without them, and then with them. So here I am in 0 hour, and this is how I'm going to be demonstrating what Chaos Reach looks like with and without Geomag Stabilizers. So I've cleared this entire area here except for a brig, and a brig is pretty beefy, so this is going to be a great way for me to demonstrate this. So this is going to be without Geomag Stabilizers. So as you saw on the bottom left there, it went away pretty fast. And for the damage, as you saw at the beginning, it was pretty good. It was pretty good, I mean halfway, but that super went away pretty fast. So we're going to do that again, except this time we're going to do it with Geomag Stabilizers. So I'm back again, and this time we're using Geomag Stabilizers, and the brig has fresh health, and we're going to be demonstrating this with Geomag. So this could be a huge difference. So watch the super, but also watch its health as well. So I'm going to show the health first, and then I'm going to show the super. That was a lot longer of a super duration than without Geomag Stabilizers. Let me just finish up this brig here. But yeah, that did a lot of damage, and that lasted a long time. So I'm going to put these up side by side, and as you can see, the one without Geomag Stabilizers, it was very short-lived. But the one with Geomag Stabilizers, that lasted a long time. A pretty long time. And that did quite a bit of damage too, as you saw before, right after my super ended. It almost defeated that brig. Almost. So definitely way more than 3/4 of its health. So that was pretty good. Well, I think that is going to wrap it up for this Destiny 2 build video. Just like before, as I said, the Arc build that I did before, there is another video on that, which I'll put at the end of this video. You could check that out. Pretty much the aspects are the same, and so are the fragments, but as I said in the beginning, in case somebody does come across this for the first time, this video instead of the other one, then they can reference this one, and they could also see the other one as well with Storm Trance, versus Arc versus Chaos Reach and see which one they like the most. But if you guys did enjoy this, be sure to leave a like if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that. And don't forget to hit subscribe as well, because that lets me know you guys enjoy the content on the channel and would like to see more. I'd like to give a shout out to my friends Bear Medley and Donkeys for Sale for being members of the channel, and you can become a member too by hitting the join button down below. I've been Savvy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys. See you later.